Good morning everyone, today is another episode of Arks Trash, which is my podcast, which means that this video will be audio only. However, for my visual listeners out there, I have prepared a bunch of b-roll so that you can watch something while the podcast is playing. But before we begin the video, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. Good morning everyone, welcome to another episode of Arks Trash. Today we have special guest Kystal Star with us. Kystal, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, my name is Kystal Star and I'm a Twitch variety streamer with a focus on PSO2. And I was recently made a NGS official creator at the end of June.
Hey, congratulations on that. So, how long have you been playing PSO2?
Yeah, I've started playing PSO2 in 2020 when it first released on the PC. Yeah, my friend Faye, who's another Twitch streamer, encouraged me to try the game, and I did. I started slowly logging in here and there. Over time, I got more and more into it as I experienced the game alongside the community.
That was it?
That's it!
I see, gotcha. Alright. So, since you've played the base game and then now you've also had experience with NGS we've had like about a year now of NGS. Do you have favorites? Do you prefer base game or do you prefer NGS? Like, what's your take?
I definitely prefer NGS because that's where the community is at the moment. Like, if the majority of who I knew were basically in BSO2, the base game, then I'm probably playing there. It definitely has its pros and cons, but like at the moment, like NGS is the current game. They're putting a lot of resources and like events and content into the game, so that's where I am at the moment. But definitely want to acknowledge like there's a lot of good memories in base PSO2 and a lot of players I've met through that as well. And just like it's like got a different kind of vibe to it than NGS. It's hard to explain.
Okay, understandable. So, if you had to name one thing that you really enjoyed in base game and one thing that you really enjoyed in NGS, what would it be? If you can't name your favorite thing, that's fine. Name like your top 3, okay?
Yeah. My favorite in base PSO2 has to be TPD, which is True Primordial Darkness. Like, I had no idea how much I would like it until I actually did the content. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And an interesting thing is I can't put my finger on it, like what exactly it is, but it's just the fact that you just go like, hit this thing here, like the different parts, going through the levels, the layers, and the phases and stuff. It was just a really awesome fight. So that is definitely like my favorite content in base PSO2. Going to NGS, it would be the Dark Falls Urgent Quest, because it's related. It reminds me of base PSO2, and it kind of has that feeling of the TPD fight as well. I was just like, oh yes, this is quite a nice feeling.
The funny thing is, I pretty much have the exact same take as you. And the reason for this is because in HTPD as well as in Dark Falls, I don't know why, I feel like it's the grand feeling of scale. You just feel so powerless against such a big boss and you're just like, oh my goodness. And then you gotta run around on the stage, you gotta do like, they're not difficult mechanics. It's kind of like they really simplified it in NGS, where it's just like, there's a big yellow dot, maybe I should hit that, right? It's very simple mechanics, but because they added in like so much stuff going on at the same time, it makes the fight feel very chaotic and very like when you do it for the very first time, you're kind of like, oh my god, what's going on? So it's pretty epic. And what's crazier is recently we got the rank 2 version of Dark Falls, right? Which you got to experience firsthand, which was very, very funny to watch. They managed to stack on top of the regular base fight even more stuff to make it feel even more epic.
Oh yes.
That's insane. I find that part just so cool that they're able to make a really good fight even more epic.
Yes, they did a good job in doing that. Because I was like absolutely like surprised. Like, what's happening? What's happening next?
Yeah, for sure. Other than the boss fights, of course, Dark Falls, HTPD, those are very signature boss fights, right? When you go into it, you know it's gotta be the highlight. But other than that, you know, from your everyday life, when you just log in and stuff like that, what is your favorite activity to do in NGS? Or again, top 3 if you can't name one.
So when I get the time to actually sit down and do some content in Genesis, the best way to cover it would probably be the group content. Just basically content that I find fun and you can just play with others, like partying up, working on NGS tasks, events, like something I put my mind on and just work, and we're all like working towards the same goal. It's quite a cool thing to do. And just even the simple tasks, like it's actually quite rewarding just to simply just log in and do the dailies and see those things being checked off. You know, yes, done my daily scratch, done the dailies here, check the treasure shop, for example. Got the, you know, extra SG from the lookbooks, for example. It's just doing all the little things here and there. It's quite neat to do.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So you enjoy that kind of checklist kind of experience whenever you play video games? Is that the case?
I think so, because like it's just having easy tasks to do. It's a simple task to do, but they're also quite rewarding in a way. Like you know you're getting good rewards from it. Yeah, and also the feeling from it. Like, yeah, I accomplished this, and good tomorrow will be even like another reward or something else. Yeah, something to do in the now, and then something to look forward to the next day.
Yeah, fair. You know, we're gonna side rail a little bit into human psychology here. As humans, we really like to have a habit or like a schedule of something consistent, something the same every single day. So, for example, for me, whenever I wake up, I make a cup of coffee, I freshen up, blah, 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 blah. And then I always make sure that I take time for myself before I begin any activities, before I go onto social media, before I start going to work, before I turn on the computer. You know, there's like a ritual or routine that I do, and it's always the same routine every single day. And it's interesting that you're saying this because it kind of feels like when you log on to PSO2 or when you log on to Genshin Impact or whatever, there's like a routine, right? You've got your dailies and there's like a nice little checklist that you kind of go like, okay, I did that, I did this, blah, 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 blah. And once you complete everything, you're like, okay, I'm done, I'm good. It's really interesting that we are kind of hardwired and designed to do stuff like this. So do you feel like if you didn't have a routine or a schedule or a checklist for NGS, you would feel very lost in this game?
It probably will feel like you're not sure where you're going, I suppose.
Yes, I know I gave you a difficult question. So.
The checklist gives you confirmation about like what you're doing and if you've completed something or not. So I guess not having any of that and just like doing it without the the check marks and stuff, it's like, did I do it? I guess it's done, I suppose.
So in my opinion, I think video games have this kind of checklist system. So for example, dailies and weeklies, they have this in order to encourage players to do a specific task, right? So for example, in NGS, we have our dailies. So we log in every day, and then that is the first thing that we usually knock out because it's very rewarding and it's not very time consuming. You know, go to the region mag, get some food, go feed the region mag, da 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 da. You know, there's 5 tasks. They're all very easy to do. But while you're doing those 5 tasks, you usually bump into something else. So for example, when I go to the region mag, I'm like, maybe I should go gather some materials instead while I'm going there. And then when I go to the combat zone to get the 50 kills, oh look, it's a storm, maybe I'll stay a little bit longer for an extra PSE burst or 2. And I think it's the game's way, or in order to structure a sort of gameplay scenario for you in order to play the game a little bit longer or enjoy all the different aspects that the game has to offer. I'm wondering, have you managed to do any of the relentless trainings from anything, back in Retem or in Kavaris?
Oh, to be honest, I have not.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
Don't worry. So the reason why I brought up relentless training is because it's pretty much like a souped up version of dailies. You've got all of these different quests which kind of shoehorn you, I guess, into trying out all the different content the game has to offer. So for sometimes it's just like, oh, go to the combat zone, kill 500 enemies. Okay, so you get the combat zone experience. Then it tells you to go kill veterans, and then you get the veteran hunting or the Dreadkeeper hunting experience. Then it'll tell you all of a sudden to go like explore the open world and kill a bunch of tames or collect a bunch of rocks. Then you get the exploration zone experience. It kind of forces you to try out all the different flavors NGS has to offer. And because of relentless training, I was able to experience everything and be like, okay, I really like this, or I really don't like this. And that way, when I log it now, I already know like, okay, these are the things that I'm going to just blast through really quickly because I don't like it. And these are the things that I'm going to spend a lot more time doing because I enjoy it. And so I need to pass the question to you. What type of player do you see yourself as, and why do you think that way?
I consider myself a casual player of the game, and this is due to how much time I play and the resources I gather. I just don't really have a lot of time that I'm able to put into the game every week, and I also don't really have like a hardcore play style for games and seem to prefer being like a casual player. For me, it makes the game play feel a lot more chill, and being able to do things at your own pace is nice, and I don't have to stress about getting the best weapon or gear.
And do you think NGS caters to your playstyle very well?
I have noticed it has, because I've been seeing a lot of like kind of casual player content, and I've seen in the community a lot of people in the past like asking for that kind of that challenge or that hardcore content. That's what I've noticed. But I think they have been, working on that, like the for example, the Dark Falls rank 2.
For sure. It's very interesting. I was just browsing on YouTube a week ago, and I stumbled upon another podcast. I think it was called Side Talk or something, from Azir. And Azir was talking about how PSO2 is not your average MMO, and that everyone is looking at PSO2 and comparing it with other MMOs in an unfair view,
Okay.
I guess. And it was super interesting because he was saying that PSO2 and NGS is very casual centric. The entire game design is extremely casual. So for example, right now a lot of people are like, oh man, do you have your Kystal weapon? Did you farm your Blizzardium? Do you have your ice cubes and all of that stuff? And a lot of people are kind of chasing these 7-star rarity weapons. However, I know you have just decided, nope, we're just going to stick with the 6 stars. We're not going for the 7 stars. We don't care. And that's understandable. I know a lot of players that are in the same boat. They're just like, nope, 7 stars. I don't want to fight the Ancients. I don't want to farm Blizzardium. All of this, it's too much of a hassle. I don't have the time for it. And the thing about NGS or PSO2 in general is, over time, they make it easier and easier for you to obtain specific weapons and specific, materials. So I would not be surprised at all that maybe next month when we get the Waker class, right? That they're just like, oh yeah, by the way, there's a campaign. All you need to do is log in 7 days in a row or something, and you'll get a Kystal weapon for free of your choice. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that suddenly becomes a thing, because that's just how the way NGS is designed. It's always been, if you want to go super sweaty try hard, if you want to go hardcore, you can do it. You can get everything that you want, but you need to put in the time and the effort. And usually it's not really worth it, but people are going to do it anyway because they're hardcore players or they're min-maxers. But for the casual player, like in your case, you don't have the time to play that much. You don't have the investment, you don't want to go that hard on getting gear because, for the content that you do, you don't really need all this crazy gear. So for the casual players, which is actually the majority of the player base, NGS is just like, yo, listen, don't worry about it. We're gonna handle it. We're gonna, treat you guys good as well. Just wait 2 months and then boom, here you are. All you need to do is log in, or there's a campaign, or there's like an event shop, or there's something that will catch you up extremely quickly to whatever the quote-unquote best gear is. But at the same time, when you guys get your Kystal weapons, I'm sure they're going to introduce something else so that the hardcore players can chase something else and be like, oh, it's fine if the casual players get the Kystal weapons because they're not best in slot anymore. So we're chasing the next new thing. And this is Azir's take on NGS. Well, I elaborated and I added a lot of my own thoughts onto it. But I think NGS is designed this way. It's designed for casual play. and not for hardcore play.
Yeah, that's it's a really good take. I think it's really interesting to see how like NGS has that focus on casual players, because I used to play a lot of Final Fantasy 14, and basically once you got the gear and finish the story and stuff, like, and everything, the end thing to do was just to do raids. And I did that for a while, but then I had to stop because it's a lot of time and also a lot of like focus, and it did get stressful at times. Coming to NGS, like, I kind of already had that mindset, like, yeah, like, there's gonna be that the best thing that we have to do, or like there's always gonna be like that hardcore kind of aspect. So like joining PSO2 and just realizing that there wasn't really any pressure to like get the best weapons or always be running like the hardcore content, it was quite like surprising for me. I was like, oh, like I don't have to do this, like I can just like chill back and just be a casual player. So that was really nice. And like also the community is also echoing that same idea as well, that hardcore talk doesn't seem to be always on the mind.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's very interesting because you've heard the meme, you know, fashion is the true end game. And to be honest, you know, with a lot of content creators as well, we kind of enforce this, we kind of echo this type of thought process. Because, you know, thrift shopping is a very hardcore type of player. He likes to min-max, he likes to look at the numbers, he likes to tell everyone, like, you know, this is how we're going to be farming, this is how we're going to get rich. And he breaks down a lot of things and theory crafts a lot of things in logic and then puts it into practice. And, you know, to me, that's theory crafting. That's hardcore already, because you're looking at the game and you're trying to break it down in order to find the most efficient path possible. And for most players, at least in my point of view, we're just like, oh, there's content there, let's just go play it. You know, we don't really care too much about efficiency. We're just like, there's content, we're gonna go enjoy the content, and once we're done, you know, we leave and we do something else. And it's really cool to see that even players like Thrift, it's all about like, oh man, there's new scratch, there's new emotes, there's new fashion, and they're really fashion centric as well, even though their content on YouTube and stuff is usually the guides that tell you like how to min-max, what to do, how to be efficient with your time, how to make money and stuff like that. But, you know, at the end of the day, most of the content creators are just like, yeah, you know, just play however the heck you want to play, just have fun, and you know, fashion is the true end game. You know, we all kind of echo this meme, and it's kind of cool. You know, as a casual player yourself, what do you think about it?
I like it because it kind of gives off the vibes that it's not just about like the gear units, the content like the urgent quests and stuff, but it's also about the fashion. People can be into NGS just for the fashion, and there's some really amazing outfits that people put together. Not only the NPCs, they can create them, but characters from other places as well, and it's just really amazing to see that. And I feel like it makes NGS a place for many groups of people or many groups of players, and then they can feel like they belong, like a community within the game.
I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of like Genshin Impact cosplayers or like HoloLive cosplayers and stuff like that. Do you go out of your way to try to find these cosplayers, or do you just kind of chill in town and you bump into someone and you're just like, wow, that's an amazing cosplay?
Yeah, I would usually bump into them. Yep. They're like, how cool, that looks really cool. But the majority I've been seeing are on Twitter as well, getting those you know, the screenshots in with the lighting. They do a really good job.
That is true, yes indeed. We have quite the big fashionista screenshot community on Twitter, and there are a lot of very, very talented people. What's your favorite cosplay that you've seen so far out of like any series in NGS?
Oh, I can't say one, but I've definitely been liking the Genshin Impact cosplays because I've been playing that game a lot and I do recognize the characters. So just seeing that they're able to create those characters in NGS has been pretty cool. Oh yeah, and I've been recently going through Demon Slayer as well, so recognizing the Nezuko cosplayers, I'm like, wow, that's amazing, how do they do that?
Yeah, actually, shout out to Ruby with that cosplay. That cosplay is actually really damn good, so that's pretty amazing. So moving on, I need to ask you, what is the type of content that you're most excited to see during NGS headlines or during updates? What's the thing that you look forward to the most?
In general, new content is always great to hear, and that covers new story, like class buffs, braver buffs are awesome, and events. Like, I like how the events bring something different to the game and like changes the look of Central City. There's like the current events are related to the PS2's 10th anniversary. So there's not like probably not one single thing that I enjoy, but I just like enjoy many different things, like from the updates, even like quality of life changes to the game. Like, oh, that's good. You know, just it'll help the players in the game, make it easier. I do like the NGS story. They've been showing them in like small sections, but I am looking forward to it every time they do come out and stuff. And also for the region, like the next region coming out, that'll be something to look forward to after that. Volcano region.
Do you think the story is a little bit too slow paced?
I feel like, yes, there could be more. They've been taking their time with it, kind of leaving us wanting more, but there has been like detail in it as well. Like when they have that slow pace, they've been adding in like more detail into the lore.
Fair enough, fair enough. So do you spend time looking into the lore and the cutscenes and like try to find out what is going on, like Zeomantic?
Not so deep, but just enough so I can know like what's going on in the story, possible hints to like some mysteries and stuff. I just kind of wondering, like, you know, when in the beginning of the game when it first released in the story, is it Gora?
Yeah, Gora, the father of Aina.
Yeah, when he disappeared, you know, it's like it's left open there, but whether he survived or not. So it's kind of like wondering about that, but not like stepping into it and really trying to look figure things out from there, but just kind of wondering.
Alright, I'm gonna throw you into the hot seat. What do you think Planet Alpha is? Do you think we're in a simulation or we're on a planet? You know, is this a giant test from Arks? Like, what's going on? What's your theory about the whole situation?
I think that Alpha is a planet that has changed over like the past 1,000 years. Like how it came to be, it's a mystery, but there seems to be a lot of history behind the environment that we have in the game. So like kind of hinting to like the history of the dolls with like the way that they have structures here and there in the environment. Basically, it has a lot of mystery to it, but how it came to be, and it'll be cool to find out like what happened before and how Alpha came to be the planet that it is. But I am open to other ideas, you know, like the other theories, like if it is a simulation, and I'm like, okay, it'd be interesting to see like what reasonings they have behind that, and yeah.
Okay. And then, like, what about Manon? Manon is so sus. She's hiding something from us, man. Like, what do you think her secret is?
She probably somehow she does have a connection to the past, like the base PS2 story somehow. I have no idea what exactly it is, but she knows something, and it seems to be bothering her as well. And that, yeah, I just wanting to know like what's on her mind, what's going on, like things that gets you thinking and wondering about like where's the story gonna head next? What information that does Manon have that will change the story or like the direction of it? She seems to be harboring something. She knows some sort of secret. It doesn't seem like a good secret either.
And then what about Crawford? Do you think Crawford's a good guy or a bad guy?
I've always thought that like Crawford was good. I didn't like suspect him at all until I heard about like the thoughts about like, oh, Crawford is evil. I'm like, huh? Really? I didn't think about that kind of thing. I was like, maybe I can see, like, I think people were comparing them to Luther. I'm like, okay, I can see that. In my opinion, I still think he's good, but those thoughts and stuff made me more open-minded to the possibility that he could actually be evil.
Alright, so I have a theory. It's very far-reaching, but I think that's what people want to hear. So Manon is a descendant of Luther, and Luther is actually in that stupid ironclad floating castle looking thing, and he is remotely controlling Crawford. Crawford is like a doll. It's an advanced doll that Luther is controlling to send us around the world to do all these silly things, to get that cannon activated, to destroy the Dark Falls, which is actually not Dark Falls. Maybe that's like a guardian protecting us from whatever. We're going to destroy that, and then Luther's going to descend from his little castle, and then Manon's going to be like, oh no, I should have told you guys that you're actually, like, you know, destroying yourselves. You're putting yourselves in harm's way. And Luther's going to be like, haha, Arks trash. And then yeet us somewhere into space. Very...
Arks that line got me right there. But yeah, oh my gosh, that's actually, like, it's a really good theory there. I like it. Oh my gosh, if that came true, this is like, what?
It would definitely be in line with how ridiculous the storyline is in PSO2, right?
It would turn heads.
What is the most ridiculous act that you played that you thought was just like, oh my god, what on earth is going on?
Can this be story?
Yes, anything in story. You can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, well, definitely it'll have to be episode 4 of the base PS2 story. Oh, and special mention to Pietro, the summoner, as well. Those things stood out. Like, when I was going through the base PS2 story, I was like, they were warning me, like, oh yeah, episode 4 is like something else. I'm like, okay. And then I actually going through it, it's like, oh, what the heck? Yeah, I was like, oh, it was nothing like, it was not like any of the other episodes. It was so different. I didn't not like it though. It was like, I liked it, but also it's just like, what the heck kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And then like episode 5 and 6 and it's a bit trippy.
So to give the audience a little bit of context, because I know a lot of my viewers have not played the base game. So episode 4 is basically a reverse isekai. You go from PSO2 and you find out that you're in a video game. And you get yeeted out of the video game into the real world, which is like modern Tokyo. And that is the premise of episode 4. So you as the Arks defender get put into the real world, or our world. And you're just like, wait a second, what is going on? And you find out that PSO2 is a video game. So it's very fourth wall breaking. And that is the premise of episode 4. So, you know, PSO2 does have a history of being extremely wacky and going out of the bounds of a traditional MMO and just like saying, screw that, we're just gonna go, you know, crazy and make up some insane storyline. And that is why, you know, I'm hoping and I'm waiting for NGS to just go off the rails and be like, okay, we're done with this tutorial stuff. Here, we're going to space now. We're going to the moon. We're going here. We're going there. And just go like really wild with the story, because they have a history of doing that. And for me personally, my favorite story was episode 6. So in episode 5, again, I'll give a small recap. We basically get isekai'd again. So in episode 4, we got isekai'd out of the game into the real world. In episode 5, we get isekai'd into a medieval type of environment where there's like dragons, there's magic, there's like, you know, there's knights with shining armor and magical swords. And you're kind of just like, wait, what the heck's going on, you know? PSO2 is a sci-fi type of game, and now we're into this like medieval type of theme, and it threw me off for a loop. But after you complete episode 5 and go into episode 6, you find out that episode 5 was just all a dream. That was an alternate universe, and that it didn't really happen. And in episode 6 is the actual reality of what actually happened. And you're kind of just mind blown. You're like, what on earth just happened? That is the part that really got me. I was like, wait a second. We went through all this effort to save XYZ, only to find out that we didn't actually save XYZ, and they're actually the big bad guy, and they're gonna kill us now. And you're just kind of like, oh my god, Giga Brain, what happened? And so that was definitely one of my favorite stories, was episode 6. Out of all the stories, as we just talked about, like, who's your favorite character?
Favorite character has to be Matoi. She plays a big role in the story, and over time you just grow to love her. She's a very sweet character, and it just feels like the world is out to get her. And the main character tries so hard to try and to save her, protect her, and there's some times it just feels like it's impossible. But the story does carry through, and it carries through quite well.
Yeah, fair enough. My favorite character is the same. I do like Matoi a lot, but I like Matoi because she just seems to be the perfect waifu out of all the other candidates, because PSO2 knows their audience, right? They give you, in the main storyline, you meet like 3 or 4 like main heroines basically, but Matoi has always stuck to me as like, yeah, she's the main girl. She's the girl that you're gonna end up marrying, kind of deal. And even though they introduce like, Harriet as well as Hitsugi, they're really strong characters as well. And they have like, really fleshed out backstory and character design as well as personality. But they're not waifu material at the end of the day. That, to me at least, they're just like, I really like their characters, but if I had to choose to marry one of them, it would definitely be Matoi every single time. And it's just because Matoi's stuck with you since like, what, episode 2? Episode 3? I don't remember what episode. But she's been there the entire time, right? Through thick and thin. And she's always had faith in the Arks Defender, in the Guardian. And she's always like, yeah, I'm going to try to help you as much as possible. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. And like, when you play through the story, when you do all the different urgent quests and all the different things, you're just like, dang, dude. She's loyal. She's dang loyal. And that's why I like Matoi a lot.
Yeah, she follows you through thick and thin in the story.
So was there anything you want to talk about before we start moving back into NGS with the Kavaris update and all that?
I think we should be good, yeah.
All right, perfect. So, now we're just switching gears. We're hopping back into NGS. So we're going to be talking about the Kavaris update. So it's been a month now, I want to say, since we had the Kavaris update. What is your overall impression of it?
My overall impression, that it's good. I love the design of the Kavaris region, the snow effects, the shades of blue. There's nice screenshots to be taken. And it's refreshing to explore a new area and experience more story. There's been a few updates since the release, and it is clear that Sega is working on listening to feedback from the community and moving forward from there. A great example is the general feedback channel in their official Discord. And the field race was a fun idea. I think it would be cool if they announced it in a similar way like they do for urgent quests, just so that people are able to gather together and run these races with many players. Because at the moment, when I did try it, there was not many people running it.
That's an interesting take. I say I'm a casual player, but I know for a fact that people are like, Carol, you are definitely not a casual player because of, the gear I do, the amount of time I play the game. I understand. But so from my perspective, I don't see the appeal in the open races. Like, I understand that they're trying to push people to try other activities other than combat, right? So other than farming, other than fighting things, other than doing dread enemies, urgent quests, like everything's revolved around combat because combat's so dang fun. But for the field races, it's a new take. It's like, hey, listen, if you just want to chill, you want to do something fun, as a community, you can do it. But I don't really understand why people would do it because there's no real reward. So that's the problem with me. The problem with me is whenever I look at something, the first thing that pops into my mind is it worth doing? Like, is there a reward at the end that I want to work towards? And if there isn't, I'm just kind of like, I don't really want to do it. And so what about you as a casual player? What's your take on this?
I think it's fair that, if you want to do something, you gotta, it'd be good to have a worthwhile reward. And I also think that having content that is like fun to do is important as well. Yes, I don't think the field races give like a lot of rewards, but it is like a fun thing to do with people, like a multiplayer, like it's kind of like a mini game in a way. apart from the other content in the game.
What do you think would encourage more players to do this type of mini game type of content?
Maybe just something that they can announce it as a group event so that people can gather in one place and then do it at the same time. And even like probably adding more rewards to it if that will incentivize people to try the content as well.
So my point of view is I like the idea. Like in theory, it sounds great. This type of party type of content, it kind of reminds me of like Mario Party. You know, like you've got a bunch of mini games and then you kind of play it with your friends and you have a good time. I like that idea. I like that direction where it's not all about combat. It's about, you know, socializing. There's like, you know, there's the parkour aspect. There's all of that stuff that's really cool. But what I have difficulty wrapping my head around is what would entice me to try to play it. So the first thing I noted earlier was of course the loot. But even if they gave like really good loot, I feel like it might take away the fun from the entire event. Because people are going to be like, yo, I'm here for the loot. I want to do this as efficiently as possible, as quick as possible, so that I can get as much loot as possible.
That is true.
That kind of takes away the magic from the whole parkouring thing or the whole race thing, right? I feel like the race is kind of, oh, you know, I've had a long day. I'm really tired. I don't want to go grinding though. And I just want to kind of chill with like a couple friends and we're just having a good time. You know, the Mario Party experience. But like, I don't know the balance because right now people are like, it's not worth it. I'm not going to do it. But if they add in like Blizzardium or something, for example, people are going to go all crazy about that, right? They're going to be like, yo, this is the thing. We're going to try to break this down. How do I do this as quickly as possible in order to get as much Blizzardium as possible, right? And that would defeat the entire purpose. And so I'm stuck here going like, dang, I don't know the answer to this. I'm like constantly asking other people and being like, yo, what's your take on this? What do you think they should do and stuff like that? At the end, I kind of think maybe cosmetic items might be the answer, you know? Either cosmetic items or like boosts. For example, let's say that if you do this activity, maybe you get like a 10% try boost or something at the end of it. But it's limited to like once a day or something, right? Like this amazing reward so that you want to do it, but it's only one time a day. So people will be willing to go out of their way, sort of like the checklist thing that you said, you know? They'll be willing to go out of their way to try it. And then maybe some people might really like it. But I know a lot of people don't even bother trying it because they're just like, you know, I don't care about the 10 star gems or whatever. And they just don't even try. And maybe that might be a way to get people to try if you put an amazing reward as a first time completion of something.
Yeah. And like with the current limited time quest going on, that you can have tickets and then exchange them for rewards that way. Maybe there could be something like for the field race, you could earn like a ticket or something which you can exchange.
That's it. I think that's actually the answer. Like seriously, I think that's genius, right? Let's say that you can get a special scratch ticket, like the 10th anniversary one, right? The one that everyone's farming for. Like if you can get one of those scratch tickets every single day for just doing it once, I think a lot of people would want to do it just because, you know, you can do it, right? It's very simple and you're guaranteed one ticket for the first time you complete it every single day. And then maybe just add the ticket into the loot pool and be like, yo, listen, you know, if you want to do this like 10, 20 times because you really like it, it's not a total waste of time. You'll still have a chance of getting this ticket. I really like your take on that. Just putting in a special scratch ticket. I think that would definitely encourage a lot of people to try it. But moving on to the 10th year anniversary event, how do you feel about that?
I quite like it. Like compared to the other events, this is something about it. Like I like how the content has been released like every week, so we can focus on like a couple events at a time as they go out. Because when they first announced it, I was like, whoa, there's like a lot. And I was like, oh, good that they're just kind of breaking it up so we can kind of enjoy the content in groups. And the event feels special. I like what they've been putting out. Events related to cosplay, daily logins, make your own Arks ID, the scratches, the PSO2 episode Oracle anime as well, and stuff. That's all been pretty neat. Overall, it just feels different to the other events they've been putting out.
I definitely am enjoying the 10th year anniversary. However, all for the wrong reasons. I feel like it's all for the wrong reasons. Like, for me, it was when the anniversary event first kicked in, honestly, I was not very impressed. When I saw it, I was just like, on paper, it looked, okay, it's just another seasonal event. It's a glorified seasonal event. But again, boil it down to what you actually do, it's just another seasonal event. But I didn't realize how big of a changing the veteran respawn timers to 5 minutes would be. Like, that was a game changer. That made me love veteran hunting. I used to hate veteran hunting because I was like, yo, it's a waste of my time. I kill like 3 veterans and I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs for like 10 minutes and then, oh, they respawn, I do it again, right? But with this new change, you're constantly killing veterans. And on top of that, you've got the new rappies, right? The rappies that just randomly spawn. You get like a PSE burst in an exploration zone. You're just like, oh my god, what's going on? And then the rappy music starts playing, and you go over there, and then Emperor Rappy comes along. You beat it up. You get like some really nice loot. Okay, it's not super really nice, but I mean, you get the Darkfall rank 1 and rank 2 triggers, as well as like a couple materials. So it's not a total waste of time. It's still worth doing it, in my opinion. And occasionally you get really lucky and you get the gigantic Rappy, right? Like the really big Emperor Rappy. And you're like, oh my god, what is this? And it's got that sense of wonder, right? I really liked it. That was just something that really surprised me. Because when I read everything on paper, I was just like, oh, okay, it's going to be alright, I guess. And then when I actually played it, I was like, wow, this is fun. This is really good. And I personally think the 10th year anniversary is really great. I like the limited time quest. I like the new Dreadkeeper farming or the veteran farms. I like the PSE zones are still fun, of course. And there's just a lot of stuff to do right now, which is really nice. And the best part is, regardless of whatever content that you're doing, you don't feel like, oh, I'm not being efficient, I'm wasting my time here, blah blah blah. You never feel that way, because at the end it's just kind of like, you know, I'm having fun doing whatever I'm doing, but I know that whatever I'm doing right now is helping me progress my character, right? Regardless whether you're doing PSE farming for, you know, maybe Alt Secreta, or if you're doing veteran farming for Dreadkeeper 3s, or for Rocks weapons and stuff like that. Like, you always feel like you're progressing your character in one way or another. And that's what I really like about NGS in general.
My take is that, you know, progression is very important in a game. I found, like, for myself personally, like, if I don't feel like I'm progressing, it kind of feels like I don't really enjoy the game as much. For example, if I hit a wall too many times in Hollow Knight, sometimes it can be like, you want to feel like you're giving up and stuff. But if you keep trying and then you get through it and you pass it, then you're like, yes, let's do more. Yes, but then for NGS, it's like there's a different paces that you can go at. So there is progression, but it can be like at a slow pace, or it can be like a fast pace, depending on how much time you put into it. And it's a very rewarding aspect of the game, just knowing like how far you've come, especially if you started the game and then looking back and saying, hey, I started the game like so many months ago or weeks ago, and then just seeing that, hey, I've got this weapon now, my character is at the max level, I'm doing all these current content, it's into the damage as well, and just seeing like how far you've come.
So you mentioned Hollow Knight. So, you know, these type of indie games, they kind of have a good balance between like smooth sailing progression versus frustration, or like hitting a wall, as you said. Do you think NGS has any of that right now, or do you think NGS is just smooth sailing all the way?
I think the wall would probably be just obtaining, if this the thing that comes to mind, it's just the 7-star weapons. Like, you know, I wouldn't mind having a 7-star weapon, but it just feels like, for me, it feels like a wall that I don't really want to get over. And I'm quite happy just to stick with the 6-star weapons at this time. Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And another follow-up question regarding what you said about progression. Do you feel like progression in NGS
should be the way that it is right now, where we save, and then maybe like 3 to 6 months later, we do one big upgrade, and then we save again, and then another big upgrade. Do you like that type of progression path, or do you prefer a more incremental upgrade path, where it's like you're constantly upgrading, but the power difference is not as significant?
So at the moment, I am doing the, upgrading every couple months. It definitely has a great feeling when you have that big jump. But in the meantime, you also can, after a certain while, like people upgrade their weapons again during that time. And so you might be still with the older weapons, so you might feel a little bit out of date. But in the end, you do get a nice jump. The regular upgrades, it makes it feel like the weapon that you crafted or upgraded and stuff might not mean as much, because you know that you're always going to go to the next weapon kind of thing, but you will be regularly interacting with the item enhancement lab, and playing around with different augments. So yeah, there's different sides to it, and I think I would prefer the former, just like having those big upgrades every few months. It seems to feel like people are upgrading less than that, though.
I feel like the reason why you have this thought of like, I prefer upgrading once every 3 months or once every 6 months, but it's like a big upgrade, is because it caters to your playstyle. And I think it's a very fair assessment, right? Because the amount of time that you put into the game that you play, it takes you that long to farm up that much material, that many capsules, the meseta, and everything in order to fund this big upgrade, right? Like,
it really does.
Yeah, it's like remember your big upgrade that you just did like a week ago, right? Was it a week ago?
Yes.
Or 2 weeks ago? But
it was last weekend.
Exactly, last weekend. Like, you basically went from like, I have so much money to I am broke in a matter of like an hour, right?
Yep, exactly.
And like, I feel like that it requires that much time in order to make such substantial upgrades, in order to like just do a full makeover. But
yeah,
the great feeling about doing a full makeover is just like, it feels like you're playing a brand new character when you're testing it. When you're done, you're just like, wow, I'm so strong. Everything I do feels different now because I'm just so much stronger. And that sense of accomplishment and that feeling of like, yes, I'm strong, is amazing. Like, nothing can replace that feeling. I feel like a lot of people play this game and they want to gear up because of that feeling, where you can finally say, yes, I'm strong enough to do this content. Yes, I can do anything that the game throws at me. Even though, if you were still using your old gear and the game threw like all the content at you, you could probably do like 90% of all the content with your old gear. But it just feels different like after you achieve that big upgrade. And so I personally like the current system. I understand how it works. I understand why it's that way. But at the back of my head, I understand that, a lot of really hardcore players are kind of bored. Because you're sitting there, you do your big upgrade, right? You've got your Addy capsules, you've got like your min-max gear, you've got your 75% potency or whatever. And you're just like, yeah, I've done everything I can possibly do. And then you're sitting there just like, oh, I guess I will farm a combat zone now and just make money. Or I'll farm veterans and I'll make money. And you're kind of stuck in this void of like, oh, money making for like a good 3 to 6 months till they introduce something else new. And then you're just like, yeah, something new. Oh, we gotta chase this. So like the Kystal weapon, for example, right? When the Kystal weapons were first introduced, people went ballistic over them. There was one guy that actually got their Kystal weapon in 1 day. They farmed for 26 hours, like non-stop, to get their Kystal weapon. And I'm just like,
wow,
are you okay? Like, that's crazy, right? But
yeah, that's dedication.
Exactly. It's insane amount of dedication, but people are willing to do it, right? It wasn't very fun to farm for it. And I think Sega should definitely improve that, right? The process of upgrading a weapon, the process of getting all the different materials needs to be enjoyable, needs to be fun. Because at the end of the day, even though a lot of people hyper focus on efficiency, it needs to be an enjoyable process, or else people are going to hyper focus on efficiency, get whatever things that they need, and then burn out. And then be like, oh man, I don't want to play NGS anymore. And it kind of defeats the whole purpose. You're adding these highly sought out items or this amazing gear so that people will play more. But you're getting the reverse. You know, people are hyper focusing and going like really hard for like a day or two, and then they're burnt out and they can't play the game for like a week, right? So you're getting a reverse effect. And so Sega needs to focus on, okay, this is the content and this is the reward, and how do we balance it in order to make it fair or make it interesting so that Sega is happy because they get the statistics to show their investors and be like, yo, look, we have so many active players that play so many hours every day. And the players are happy as well because they enjoy the process and they're willing to stick around and play more. Now that I've led the question into the whole Kysar series, are you going to be making a Kysar eventually?
Probably not. Yeah, I don't think I will.
Okay, and then why not?
As a casual player, I just won't have enough time to do it. Even if I did, it will take ages to get it, and the process will be quite stretched out for me. So maybe by the time that I get it, it's when you get to use it for, a certain amount of time, and then the next weapon, the next new thing will be out. If it was something I really wanted and I had the time to do it, then yeah. But in the past, I've been doing fine, like with the Quintel Katana. I had it from February of this year until just recently when I upgraded to the Evil Orbit Katana and the bow.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So if the game was extremely generous, and let's say that if you just need to log in every single day and you would get all the materials that you needed, but in small amounts, so maybe it would take a month before you would be able to get your Kysar weapon, or maybe even 2 months, would you do it?
I would say yes, because time-wise, it doesn't take much time, and we'll be able to create it with that method. Okay,
I'm actually curious. How many hours of NGS do you play on average? You can give it by per day or by per week, depending on I don't know if you play on the weekdays or not.
Let's see. So I do at least 3 to 4 hours on stream. And then, during the weekday, I probably log in for, less than half an hour. But sometimes I don't. I miss days as well, so 5 to 6 hours a week.
Okay, yeah. I think that's a fair assessment. To be honest, I feel like your playtime is actually the average for a regular player's playtime on NGS. I know a lot of people like to look at me, like to look at their favorite content creators, and be like, wow, people hardcore, they're playing this game every day, 3-4 hours every day, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the average, right? I think it's because we are content creators, we have to be outliers, because you need to put in the time, the effort to get the content, to get the B-roll, to make everything, blah, blah, blah. And so, we're not normal. Don't look at us as the average player. I feel like the true average casual player in NGS is just like you, 6 to 7 hours a week, where it's on average 1 hour a day, but they don't actually play 1 hour a day. They like to focus everything into the weekend, where it's maybe on Saturday I'll play 3 to 4 hours, and on Sunday I'll play another 2 or 3 hours, and that's how you get your 7 hours or your 6 to 7 hours. It's not on the weekdays, and so you're missing a lot of dailies and stuff like that. But don't you think NGS is extremely generous in the sense that you can miss all your dailies all you want, and then you just log in on the weekend and you can catch up very, very quickly?
Yes, I think that's a good, because people work on the weekdays, and then having the opportunity to catch up on the weekends will kind of work with their lifestyle and still encourage them to play the game, because they won't be left behind.
It's interesting that you use that wording. Why do you feel like people might get left behind?
Because I feel like the current content is the way to go, and if you're not at that current content, then you kind of are behind in a way. and that's something that is on my mind as a content creator, because as you said, like, you know, content creators have that maybe that view that they are, you know, maybe they're up to date and they're maybe always have the best gear, weapons and things like that. So when I'm not, then it feels a bit like, oh man, I should be that like that. So when Kavaris came out, I was still sitting on the 5-star weapon for a while, and I was like, man, I should upgrade it, but I can't right now because of the way that I you know, play. Just was to keep waiting and see if there's an opportunity that will come my way, which was the Evil Orbit weapons. Like, right, this is the time to do it, kind of thing. And after that, I felt like, I guess I'm part of the current content kind of thing in terms of like my gear.
Okay. I kind of get what you mean now. You have your old gear and then you're kind of like not up to snuff yet because you don't have like the new gear yet, and you kind of feel like you're holding people back, sort of. Is that kind of deal?
Yes, and also it can be just with content in general, like, oh, I haven't done this content yet. But it's been out for a while, but I haven't tried it yet, kind of thing. It can be applied to that as well.
Actually, this is something that I wanted to point out, because you are extremely shy on a lot of content, like mining rig defense. I had to drag you out to try mining rig defense. I had to do the same with Dark Falls rank 2. What is holding you back? Why are you so scared of new content? I need to know.
I think it's the what the community says about the content. So it's like, so the mining base, everyone's like, oh, mining base is so tricky. You got to make sure you got to keep track of everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. It sounds like you got to make sure you know what you're doing in the UQ. You know, make sure that you're doing your part as a team member. And for the Dark Falls rank 2, just like, it feels like that is like, you know, the next level up of difficulty. You gotta have the, you know, decent gear and weapons, and also just knowing the fight very well, not dying kind of thing. And just, so for me, I was thinking like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can be like, I don't want to let the team down. So I think it's all about the mindset, and I guess what you think about it as you're going into the content, or even just like just thinking about the content. It just makes a big deal, because yeah, I remember when we first did the mining rig, I was really worried. I was really nervous, I think. But I remember you were just like, it's okay, you know, just have fun. And I was like, okay, yes, we just got to do this. I slowly started to like relax a bit and go, okay, this is not so bad. We're doing this. This is fine, kind of thing. So like things like that just helps help me realize, you know, hey, it's not that bad. It's not too crazy. You know, it's a game. We're here to have fun and stuff. So I'm glad that you as a content creator, like, remind players of that in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Because, you know, at the end of the day, if content is available, they're readily available. I think it's important for players to try the content first. Ignore the comments, ignore what everyone else says, and do it yourself first. Because, you know, someone might say, oh my god, Dark Falls rank 2 is so easy, I could do it with my eyes closed. But, you know, you don't know because you haven't tried it yet. And then once you try it, then it's like, okay, now you can form your own opinion, whether it's difficult or easy or whatever. And you also understand, is this type of content for me or not? And I feel like at the end of the day, PSO2 is a video game. Some people like certain content and some people don't. It's all personal opinion. So for example, I love combat zones, but thrift shopping or like Chrono Catastrophe or other people don't like combat zones. So it's not a big deal, you know? They like to do open world stuff, I like to do combat zones. We all have our own different take on the game and our own different preferences. And so you shouldn't really care too much about other people's opinions too much. Like, maybe you can listen to other people's opinion and be like, okay, I'll use that as a reference point, but it shouldn't dictate whether, oh, this content's too difficult for me, or, oh, it shouldn't gatekeep you from trying all the content available in the game. That's what I want most players to get out of this podcast. It's just like, listen, it doesn't matter if you're a casual player, doesn't matter if you're a hardcore player, The game has a bunch of stuff to offer to you. There's a lot of content in the game. The big argument is there's a lot of content, but it doesn't feel rewarding. And this is what the hardcore players will always say. The reason for this is because the hardcore players have blasted through everything at light speed and they've completed everything. So even all the rewards that they get from all of this difficult content, they're like, oh, I don't need these rocks weapons. I don't need this. I don't need that. I don't need any of these things. And so they think it's not rewarding. But for the majority of players, the casual player base, it's still worth running all of this. Just because your favorite content creator is saying, oh, it's not worth running this, guys, it's not efficient, does not mean that you shouldn't try it, right? You should definitely try it. And if you enjoy it, feel free to keep running it. Because at the end of the day, if you earn Meseta, if you earn capsules, if you earn materials, they're all going to be useful later down the line. When we all upgrade to our 8-star rarity weapons and armors, there's definitely going to be use for all those extra capsules that you have sitting around and all that extra Meseta. So, at the end of the day, I just want people to try all the content in the game and not be scared because people said it's difficult or people said it's not efficient or whatever, right? With that being said, this transitions to one of my last questions, and that is, do you think New Genesis is too hard or too easy, or it's perfect, like in between?
I think that NGS does have its easy side, where I can do most things, and it doesn't feel like you're forced to be like focusing on like end game, and the option for harder content is there, and it's just like the option about whether you want to work on that or not. So it does lean on the casual side more, but it does have that hardcore. And I think it's just about that balance of catering to both the casual and the hardcore players. But they're not the only types of players out there. But it seems to be like balancing and meeting the different types of players, which I don't think will be an easy task to do, but they seem to be working on it.
All right. So next up, I want to ask, if you were the developer, if you were the CEO of NGS, you had the power to do anything, to change anything in NGS, what would you change or what would you add?
Cross-ship transfers to visit friends and other ships with no cost. Because we had that fashion show as a community like not long ago, and that was really fun. But since NGS doesn't have cross-ship, we had to do it in the base piece or two, the PvP area. So if NGS had that kind of area where like people of different ships can meet, that'd be pretty cool. And plus it's a great way to like socialize with other players that are playing on different ships.
Yeah, I actually really like that idea. What if they do like a universal ship where it's everyone can gather together, like all the different ships can go to that ship, and then you can do all the content available. So let's say that you want to do combat zones with like, maybe I want to do combat zones with Skull's Nightshade, but Skull's is on ship 3. But maybe there's like this universal ship where we can all hop onto and we can do combat zones together. Or, maybe we want to do Darkfall's rank 2, with Zan always on ship 3 as well. We could be like, yo, everyone, let's hop onto this universal ship and then we can all run Darkfall's rank 2 together. That would be amazing, right? It wouldn't have to be such, this awkward, oh man, my main's on this ship, my ult's on this ship. And it's just this awkwardness of just like, oh, bro, this sucks, man. It's like, we want to do this content, but we can't, right? I hate that feeling. So I love this idea. Would you add in anything else, like something new or any extra twists to it?
Another idea could be like just more community events for players to get together and like just enjoy. So this is probably not like directly like in the game, but like for example, the Phantasy Festival was streamed on YouTube, and then players all came together in one area and they were like enjoying and dancing to the music from the artists. And I thought that was a really cool idea. So just like having events like that where players can come together and enjoy content as a community. It's something different from, it doesn't have to be combat.
Yep. Again, you point out so many things that I've glossed over because I remember that event. That event was epic, was super cool, but I forgot about it because in the back of my head, I'm always thinking about like combat, most efficient, how to min-max, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm so used to that type of content that even though I've experienced these things, I'm just like, oh dang, I totally forgot about that, you know? So yeah, the music festival was amazing. It was so good. And I would definitely like to see that return into NGS with a few minor tweaks, right? I would like them to actually have the music playing in game. I don't know if that's actually allowed or not, like there might be copyright issues or something, but that would be the best, right? Being able to hear the music, experience everything in game. So you get like a complete experience. You don't need to open like a YouTube tab or something on the side, and you know, that's just too complicated. I want everything together in one package in game, where you can see yourself on stage, you can listen to the music, everyone's vibing together, everyone's having a great time. Like that would be the ultimate experience. I don't know if it's actually possible, but that would be the final product. That would be like the perfect situation, in my opinion.
Yes, I think it's a good idea though, because like the one block can only hold so many people. Allowing it somehow like to be on the screen will allow like anyone on any block to hang out and listen to the music.
Yep. So what I'm thinking is, you know where the TV is in Alio? Maybe have a camera on top of the TV where it just reflects whoever's on the stage, right? It just mirrors it on the TV. So regardless of whatever block you're in, you will always be able to see yourself on the TV because each block is individual, right? And all it does on the screen is it just mirrors whatever is in front of it. And I think that would be a great way to capture that sense of like, oh my god, this is awesome, we're in a rave or whatever. And then have it play the actual music that, you know, that they're going to be playing for the music festival. I think if you could hear the music in game, you could see yourself on TV with your mates, I think that would be the most enjoyable, complete experience, you know?
Yeah. There was a lot of screenshots as well from that day. People were screenshotting themselves on the screen and then commenting about the festival and how great it was. So yeah.
For sure. All right. You know, those two ideas were great. I really liked both ideas. I think I'm gonna write that down and probably make a video about it to to encourage them to actually do it, because that's amazing.
That'll be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We are running out of time though, so I will be opening the floor to Kystal Star. So Kystal, you know, if there's any shout outs, any plugs, where can people find you, all of that stuff, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so you can find me on twitch.tv/KystalStar, so that's KYSTALSTAR. And I'd like to thank the community of PSO2, my community, and my Twitch moderators, and like the game for the chance to be an NGS official creator as well. And a big thank you to Keroppi for this opportunity to be on your podcast. I'll always be grateful for getting to know and be a part of the PS2 community. There has been so much support since 2020, and I'm just so thankful. Like, I'd like to continue to doing my best as a Twitch streamer and an NGS official creator. But yeah.
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
And that concludes this week's episode of Arks Trash. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!
What can I say except you're welcome? For the heals, the boosts, the